It is finally spring in Maine. It is time to go tractor hunting. Today's tractor hunt is brought to you by, have you ever bought something and totally forgot until 2 years later that you bought it in order to do something with it? That's exactly what today's tractor hunt is. About 2 years ago, towards the end of Jessie's pregnancy and everything was just plain going wrong, John and I bought two LT1000s for $100. Sight unseen. All we knew was that one semi ran and the other one was screwed. The one that was messed up, we ended up turning into the push-button dragster over on RCG Racing, where we used an electric clutch on a push button on the shifter to be able to go drag racing with it. It actually worked out pretty good. On the other hand, the other one, semi-ran, made it to the back of our junkyard, got parked there, and today we're going to go see if we can revive it because we need some flipping cash in the bank. And right now we're broke. Just like you guys usually start out the season too, I bet. And, you know, John's out for early release.
Well, John, it never fails. The one you want is always at the back of the pile with a dead doornail in front of it. But we have an awesome booster pack with a built-in air compressor. And these things are game changers. Serious, shameless plug to go check the link in the description. These are amazing. But make sure you get the type with the screw-on, not the clip-on type. These actually come with both. There's an intermediate that extends this, but those are awesome. That one is old. I think we're on like 4 or 5 years on that one now. And we've got one in the van for emergencies. We've got a bunch of them kicking around. Only 2 out of 4 tires pumped up, so wet grass, what could go wrong? We're on tire number 5, 75% battery. What do you think? Is it gonna have enough to actually crank the motor over after doing 8 tires?
Maybe.
That is not how we operate here. We go, yeah, sure it is.
Yeah, sure it is.
There, see, that's a good YouTuber. You're supposed to have that fake happiness. Oh, and the auto shut-off is still working after all these years. Another selling point. Obviously, this machine's a bit of a mongrel. We got hood that does not match the rear fenders. We have MTD front tires instead of the turf savers that should be on it. So the question's going to be, does it even actually have the right engine? We got a 15.5 there. Got a 15.5 here. So looks like the engine does match the chassis. That's good. The other thing about these, when you get into them before you ever try to do anything, is check for mouse nest. On these, it's nice and simple in order to check for a mouse nest. I don't know why, but on the Briggs, they like right where the starter is and right in here. And on this type of cap, if you look down through, see the white there? See right there? You can literally see down through the fins all the way to the leaves on the other side. So if I can see that hole there and that hole there, then the chances are there's no mouse nest. But just to make sure, we'll pop this open because they do like to get into this. No? And that filter looks pretty decently new, so that's cool. Okay. Well, what do you say? Just throw some gas in and see if it comes to life? I mean, I don't know. It looks pretty good. Yeah. Let's try some gas. I had to have been stressed when I parked this thing. Look at how much gas is in there. Like, it's literally half a tank. Okay. Yeah. Screw it. Let's try and start it. Okay, booster pack haphazardly on the back. Push down clutch. And nothing. I'm gonna go with the idea I knew this and I must have hotwired it to drive it because the engine harness is unplugged on the other side. Let's see if we can boost it on the starter. Yeah, so I'm betting past Neil discovered that there is a safety switch somewhere that is screwed up and shorting directly to ground. So what we've got is we've got our positive right directly onto the starter. We've got this. And these just use a generic E35. You can buy these for $10 and explode them one right after another and not worry about it. So let's try this. So much for the rat's nest. So much for my tally-ho. Let's drive it off and go see what's up with the deck. I'm gonna bet that the belt has stretched from sitting here. It's a common problem with these LT1000s. I'm gonna reach in, see if I can pop it back on. Belt is on the engine pulley. Belt is on the transmission pulley. And you check through this hole right here and you find your belt is on your clutch. Congratulations, you have just discovered the LT1000 exploding idler pulley feature. This one just did it when we hit the clutch. Alright, that is your steering fan right there. Hidden under your steering fan, right about here, there is a notch in the steering fan mount. There is a bolt that goes through there, through a pulley, and that is the pulley that likes to explode. And I can't show you on camera because it's just barely over the top of the front of the deck, and I can't get in there right now. We're not going to talk about the fact we're getting saved by a John Deere. That's not allowed on this channel. This is a Craftsman that just has the wrong hood. That's all we're gonna say. Alright. Here we go. Alright, tally-ho! Nope, you're gonna have to give her 11 bump. Nope, even harder. Whoa! Go, 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 go! I got when we did the video on the Vevor winch was, did I think I could hook onto there and tow something off of a trailer? An LT1000 is really light, so try it. Don't think I would do it very often because I don't think the top of the garage would like it. But that answers your question that you asked on the other video. I don't think there is anything more what the hell than when a winch cable rips hair out of the backside of your head because it grazed you. Oh, I found a couple of pirate words just now. Look at the quality of this belt. It's in really good condition when you consider engine pulley, V-idler that rotates nicely, exploded flat idler that was etched and eaten by the belt for who the hell knows how long. That's amazing. That's the worst one I've ever seen.
You recording?
Yes, go ahead.
It's Bad Family.
Whatever dumb movie that is from. Anyways, We're trying to work on assessing the deck situation as to whether I need to drop it right now and work on it. So I wanted to walk you through that. If we come over here, we can see that both of the spindles spin up decently. The blades are in really good condition. I mean, there's a lot of surface rust, but they're not beat to snot. But if we look in here, we've got this pulley right here is on a pivot arm. And if I reach in through there and I shove on it, I should be able to move it back and forth, and it doesn't. So we know we've got to drop the deck in order to fix the pivot. But this has bigger issues. Somebody pushed it past its primary point. So John, if you up and down the lever, this moves, because rather than fix the pivot, they forced it. So if we come up here and John lifts it all the way up, if we look, right there is a tab that is supposed to be flat, and that piece of plastic is supposed to be inside of that tab. So that tab is currently like this. We've got to bend it like that. Then we've got to put a new cable in it, and we've got to rebuild the deck. Man, somebody got all the mileage out of that one. I managed to go and find another one that's in really good condition. Now, if you order up the regular 3/8 pulley, you know, you can order them in like a 4-pack, really cheap, versus these, they want some stupid amount for. If you take this and you beat this dowel, insert, whatever, out of this old one, you can cut this nub off and then just run the old school 3/8 pulley. There we go. So we pushed the brake down so that we could use the brake lock. We made sure the belt is inside of there, pressed it in there, pressed it in there. I don't know why, but on a lot of these LTs, this one will drop right in. This one is kind of touch and go. But if you hold it in and then rotate the lower pulley, it'll usually pop in without having to fight with it too bad. Now, as we said earlier, this is your leverage pulley for engaging the deck. This should move, and it does not. Can anybody see what's wrong with this picture? That one caught me off guard. I've been staring at it for like 10 minutes trying to figure out what's wrong. That's not supposed to be wedged into there. What in the world? I didn't even know you could make it fit there. That's a new one on me. So that cable goes through there, and then this turns 90 degrees, goes like that, and then a cotter pin goes through right there where my thumbnail is. I didn't even know you could get it to wedge into there. That's a new one on me. This turned out to be exactly what I thought it was going to be, so I laid it out because I watch experts do this wrong on video all the time. This comes off. This will then come off, and what I'll watch them do is they will sand this down and they will slather it with stuff. They'll sand this and they'll slather it. They'll sand this and they'll slather it, and then they'll throw it back together. That is wrong. That, if I can get it to focus, is rusted into there. That is the actual pivot. This has to get punched out and fully cleaned up to put it back together. There we go. So I had to beat that out on the vise. Now I've got to get in there, clean all of that up with the wire bristle right there, and then slather it all up with anti-seize and put it back together. Also, don't forget to sand down the pivot washer, get all the pits out, and pack this thing with anti-seize. You can buy these, but really just sanding the snot out of them works perfectly fine. And now, with a loving amount of anti-seize here, this piece comes over onto there. Anti-seize all across here, flip it over and pop it into there. Anti-seize the top of this. This goes onto there. Add your nut, holding up on the carriage bolt, and lock it all down. And then This goes onto here and then locks into the slot on the deck. Make sure you're careful about your carriage bolt. If you do manage to screw up your carriage bolt that is in there, because sometimes it'll rot out, if you're very careful, up in here, you can stick your welder in and weld a bolt. Whoops, I just lost it. You can stick a welder in and weld a bolt in place if you round that off. Here we go. So this pulley installed goes until you bump right there. It's kind of hard to show in film, but once it's installed correctly, this is your pull that goes that direction like we showed with the cable earlier. So that goes that way, popping everything open, and when you let off the tension here, the natural belt pulls it forward, just like so. It's always good to have some spares, especially when you race mowers, but we got a pile over there of spare parts when it comes to mower decks, and so we found a cable that was in there. This was broken on the other cable, and the little retainer O-ring thing right there was missing on the other cable also. So let's go throw this on, see if we can junkyard a mowing deck into life. John's going to run the engagement lever for me so that we can show what's going on. Right now, if we come down here, we're going to see it's loose as can be. Go ahead and pull the lever up, John. There we go, and that's engaged. Tight as can be. Okay, let go. And that comes back. Now, don't freak out if this doesn't come all the way back and clunk like it did when you were monkeying with it. The spinning of this is going to be what actually pulls it all the way back. This spring is just a starter assistant. The actual motion of this is what's going to hum-chuck it forward. There's a good chance we're going to end up with a backfire because this ended up flooding the carb, but let's give it hell. Yeah, I think we flooded the cylinder. Oh yeah, it's way flooded. Okay, choke, unflooded cylinder, take 2. Still flooded cylinder. Okay. Ow, 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 ow. I melted the side of that thing and that was hot. Okay. Oh wow, it's literally on fire. I just put my hand on that. See the fire?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that was hot. Wow. Okay. Let's try that one more time, shall we? You can see the gas. We need an outgoing chute. This one is already beat up pretty decently. It has a solid end and then a push-off end. It's basically as simple as just a hammer and get in there and bop it enough, you can see it started to come loose, and then bop it the other side and proceed to lose it right into the grass underneath everything, while stabbing yourself with the screwdriver. And just gonna go back and forth and pay attention to where it lands in the grass underneath. There it goes. So that is like that. So it goes with this side going out. Now we should be able to get the pin to come out like so. Pin comes out. This whole assembly with spring should rock back and forth. So the spring sits inside of there with the pin going through everything right there. If you have one of these and you want to make this pretty again, if you go across it with a propane torch lightly, it'll blacken everything to make it look nice. There's no good way to film getting this pin in, but the thing I wanted to pass on was that with a 1/2 inch deep socket, it fits over it and you can pull and pry and bend it, because the spring is going to fight you all the way into getting it in there. So that gives you enough to be able to manipulate it. Once you get through, you should be able to tap that in, set this onto there, and then use a socket in order to pound it on the rest of the way. John's over here with a wrench and 3/8 taking off the engine cover, because apparently the rat's nest was not in the usual location. And he also seems to think that we need brakes. I think he's overreacting, but I guess if we're going to sell the thing, it should have brakes. So this is a Spicer rear end, which means it's going to have a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch here. And the center 1/2 inch is your adjustment. So the tighter it is, the better the brakes. And also, if you happen to be working on one of these Craftsmans and your shifting is weird or it's off on where it's supposed to be, that is a pivot, and this is your shift point adjuster. So if you lightly undo this and lightly undo that, you can move it around so that you can get the shifting knob to line up with where it's supposed to be. Now, if you get yourself a 1/4-20 bolt, you can punch these pins down through. But there's a problem. Once you start to push them down through, usually they end up bottoming out and you can't get them the rest of the way. So what you do is you take your vise and you flip it and put it like that, and then punch them down through in the vise once you get them moving. Take your time, go back and forth, soak these with all kinds of stuff. I have seen these just out explode because of stress. If you do not have a bolt on hand, you're in the middle of nowhere, you're trying to do this out in a field somewhere, the valve cover bolts on most Briggs and Kohlers are the right size to punch that pin out of there. Briggs, dumb engineering design. Have to remove your oil cap in order to be able to take your cover off.
Oh, I feel that on my hands.
That's right, stick your hands in it and then lick your fingers. Yeah, that is not where I was expecting it to be. Usually they're like over into here and over the top of the starter. Yeah, here, I'll stick my fingers in it. That way I can make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich later with extra mouse nest. I've got this kind of haphazardly thrown together so I can pop it back on the machine, but I just wanted to show you. So inside of there, we got the plate that came off, we got the shoe there, we've got our push piece here with the spring going to that side, then we've got a washer for the pivot, we've got the strap that holds everything in place, and then our brake adjustment nut right there. This is a push for brake system. So if you have this unit out and you want to test the brakes, all you do is pull back on that in that direction. There are push brake systems and there are pull brake systems. If it was a pull brake system, this bar would go this direction instead of this direction. Anyways, now I'm going to slide it up and over the end of this, put it on there, and call it good. We got John's help. We got our washer, our cotter pin on, and as you can see, this spins. John's going to hit the pedal. And now if I reach in, I can't spin it. Now John lets off. And now it spins. So, if you need your brake to be stronger, you tighten this. If you need to change when your brake happens in your clutch assembly, you tighten and loosen these. There are days I wonder, because you actually wear safety equipment. Alright, go for it. Ah yeah, I'm glad we pushed this out of the shop. You could literally make like a 2-hour-long video on diagnosing and doing electrical on a lawn tractor, and it's gotten worse over the years. But you can shortcut a lot of it really quickly in order to diagnose where you have a bad sensor or something. So you're going to need a voltmeter or just a light bulb out of the hood of a lawn tractor in order to test. I like this Ionova, which is beat to snot, because it shows battery load testing and will light up, and I don't have to actually see what's going on. So if I have this right here, I have to have positive to this side of the terminal. So if I tap to the engine and to that side, there's that. Now it's not lighting up because of the fact I'm using a booster pack that has too much voltage for it. But if we were on a regular lawn tractor battery, that would light up green. So I know that I have voltage to there. Now, from here, if I set this down and I put this back in here so that that doesn't destroy my tank, on the inside of here we're going to have a white wire. Okay? Now I have to do some trickery here, but basically if you cram this up into there and wedge it, and we have John back up, and then we cram this into here so that we have a grounding contact, and then I straddle over the top of the engine and push the brake down, I should be able to hit the ignition. And what we saw there was we saw voltage come across the white wire. So, what that now tells us is that we have primary voltage, we have white wire voltage that goes through our safety equipment in order to be able to run the machine, and we also can check it one more here. Right here, coming out from under this flywheel, this is your diode, and that marks your charging circuit. So when your engine is in the run position, you should see 12 volts there from the battery. And your diode prevents it from feeding back in under the engine. So we have 12 volts there. And so the question is, it runs, what's going on? So we know we have all of our voltage there. We know that the kill switch here works in the ignition. Why is it every time that I release that pedal, it dies? The answer is this. When these become worn down, or they become bent, or they become mangled, and they don't depress all the way, it ends up turning the engine off the moment you let the brake off. That's our problem, and we either need to put a new one in, or we need to cram that solid, or we need to pull that out and wedge it closed. You take your pick on your liability. Questionable junkyard battery. Clutch down, start.
Time to clean it up.
Cleaning done. Do not sell a lawn tractor taking a picture right now while it is cleaned off and wet. Unless you actually take the time to wax it out so that it looks like this in person, do not take a picture to sell it until after it is fully dried. I'll bring you guys back in like an hour and we'll see what it looks like after it's actually dry.
To be honest, this time of year I'm a little lacking of grass to cut, but we found some.
Well, to be honest, it actually turned out looking way better than I would have given it credit to turn out. Engine is running great. It does not seem to have any wiring for the headlight, and I'm not sure whether somebody chopped it out or what's going on, but for the life of me, I can't find any attachment for it anywhere under the dash. But it's a good little unit. We're going to throw it up for sale, see what we get out of it. I have been out of the market for lawn tractor repair basically since the pandemic, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to throw it up for sale for at this moment. In my area, I'm going to bet probably toss it up there for 400 bucks and see what I get. We'll see. Anyways, we've already got another tractor that we're hunting up, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Hey, John. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
My back hurts just watching you do that. Anybody else feel that way? Yeah.